Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Guys, and welcome to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Cynthia, and happy Cinco de Mayo, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I hope you all are having a fantastic day. I know many of you may be celebrating Cinco de Mayo today. Again, I just want to remind you guys, Cinco de Mayo is not Mexican Independence Day, okay? I know a lot of people get confused, but Cinco de Mayo is not Mexican Independence Day. Mexican Independence Day is actually September 16th. What you are celebrating today is the Battle of Puebla. So, again, you are basically celebrating a battle. And that's okay, you know, I celebrated too. Obviously, this year is a little bit different. Last year, I think I went out I did go out to with my friends. We went out to the Flamingo House here in Midtown Sacramento, which is like a really cutesy bar. And obviously can't do that this year, which is, you know, it is what it is. So I hope you all celebrate, you know, safely, still keep your social distance from everyone. And, you know, eat those tacos and margaritas, whatever you're going to do. So just want to wish you all a happy Cinco de Mayo. And that's basically it. I mean, I don't have any real big, interesting news for you guys besides that if you listen to last week's episode, I started to do like trading and investing and all that, which I'm still like kind of getting, you know, learning. It's a lot and I'm not good with numbers and percentages and none of that stuff is my forte, but nonetheless, I am learning and I'm trying to take it day by day. So if you tuned into last week's episode, I was talking about my own personal weight loss journey, and I started to get into some common, frequently asked questions that I receive as a personal trainer regarding my weight loss journey. Since that, you know, I had a pretty dramatic transformation, I still continue to get many, many questions regarding that. And I highly suggest that if you haven't tuned in to my last episode, you should. It's just called Weight Loss Journey and FAQs. I believe it's episode in between 283, 284, 282, around there. So go check that out right after you're done listening to this one. If you want to learn more, get more personal about my weight loss journey. I really dropped some gems in there, okay? And we're going to continue along with that conversation. In today's episode, we'll be diving more into the discussion of weight loss, fat loss. Specifically, again, I will be addressing common questions and concerns regarding this topic. It's a hot topic. Everybody wants to know the secret, but there's really no secret, okay? There's a lot of information and misinformation out there regarding the quickest and easiest way to drop fat, which in my eyes, that just means trying to find a shortcut. And you can't really find a shortcut when it comes to your health and fitness. You shouldn't find a shortcut when it comes to your health and fitness. Shortcut is going to equal to temporary, and then you're going to be back to square one. And I believe this mindset of trying to find the fastest and quickest thing out there is the first mistake people make, and why many don't see any progress. when it comes to your diet, your main focus shouldn't be on fast and easy, but rather what diet is sustainable for you and what will work for you in the long run. When choosing or trying out a diet, you need to make a conscious decision and switch your mindset to, this is a lifestyle change. This is for the long run, okay? Don't aim for temporary or you will just get temporary results. And this applies whether you're trying to lose weight, gain weight, or maintain. A common mistake I see happen is that people will start a diet just because their friends Sally and Joe did. And, they lost all this weight. A really popular one I hear about, I like to call it the bandwagon diet, is the keto diet, in which you essentially are cutting out all carbs or tremendously cutting out your carb and sugar intake from your diet. And sugar includes fruit as well. This may have worked for Sally and Joe, but it may not work for you. All of our bodies function differently and they don't all operate the same. It may be sustainable, keto may be sustainable for them, but it may not be sustainable for you. And this is, again, a common mistake people, make. They hop on whatever trendy diet thing their friends are doing, and then they're left with great disappointment because it didn't work out for them and they didn't get the results that they had expected to receive. And I'm going to put myself as an example just so you guys get a clear understanding of what I'm trying to say here. I know for a fact I would not be successful following a keto diet, okay? I love carbs way too much, and I just know this isn't sustainable for me. Like, there's many different routes in which you can decide to take when it comes to weight loss. There are many diets. You have the Mediterranean, you have keto, you have even fasting, like intermittent fasting, OMAD diet, which I will be discussing the OMAD diet probably in tomorrow, actually, because I will be doing another episode here. So tomorrow I'll be discussing about the OMAD diet. And with all of that to say, it really is up to you, or like what route you want to take when it comes to your diet. The biggest thing is just making sure that you're eating in a caloric deficit if you are trying to lose weight or fat loss as your main goal. And again, I've said this 1,000 times and I'll say it 1,000 times more. Caloric deficit means that you are eating more, eating less. You are expending more calories and you are consuming less calories, okay? And speaking about carbs, that's going to be our first question that we'll dissect together. The first frequently asked question I receive regarding weight loss questions is, do carbs make you fat? Carbs are they're a hot topic, debated topic, especially in the weight loss world, due in part to diets such as the Atkins, Dukan, South Beach, and now the ketogenic diet. The idea that carbs are bad has left many people confused about carbohydrates and their importance for our health, including maintaining a healthy weight. Carbohydrates, they're a broad category, and not all carbs are the same. It's the type, quality, and quantity of carbohydrate in our diet that's important. Carbohydrates are one of the three main building blocks, also known as macronutrients, that make up all food alongside protein and fat. And these macronutrients are essential for the body to function. Carbs can be further split into three groups, and there are sugar, starch, and dietary fiber. Sugars are simple short-chain compounds known as monosaccharides and disaccharides found in fruit-like apples and, the demonized white sugar. They taste sweet and they tend to be highly, palatable, meaning they taste good. Starch is a longer chain of sugar compounds known as polysaccharides, and this type includes things such as bread, pasta, grains, potatoes, all of the things that I absolutely love and I cannot cut out. And then the final one, as I mentioned before, it is dietary fiber. Dietary fiber is like the odd one out. It's also a polysaccharide like the starch, but the gut can't digest it. So just remember, almost all foods that people call carbohydrates actually contain a combination of all 3 types of carbs along with protein and fat. And apart from table sugar, it's rare to find something that's purely a carb. And that's just not how food tends to work. So why do we need carbs? Well, I'll tell you right after this commercial break.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Are you looking to learn more about the latest trends from the fitness world? Are you confused by all of the different trends that are out there? The GSMC Fitness Podcast is the place for you. The GSMC Fitness Podcast is the place to come for people of all skill and interest levels. Join us as we explore the latest trends in the fitness world. Does that new exercise really work? Should I try yoga? Whatever your question, chances are good you'll find an answer on the GSMC Fitness Podcast.
Hey guys, and welcome back to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. So we're diving into carbs. Do carbs make us fat? We will answer those questions in this segment, but I left you guys hanging. Why do we need carbs? Okay. Carbohydrates are important to your health for several reasons. First one being energy. Carbohydrates should be your body's main source of energy in a healthy, balanced diet. They're broken down into glucose, which is sugar, before being absorbed into your blood. The glucose then enters your body's cells with the help of insulin. Glucose is used by your body for energy, fueling your activities, whether that's going for a run or simply breathing, okay? Unused glucose can be converted to glycogen, which is found in the liver and muscles. If more glucose is consumed that can be stored as glycogen, it's converted to fat for long-term storage of energy. Starchy carbohydrates that are high in fiber release glucose into the blood slower than sugary foods and drinks. So, biggest thing is our energy. Carbs are literally energy. So, a lot of times when people embark in the keto diet or just like are in a low carb diet, low or like no sugar diet, they're, cutting out their main source of energy fuel. So that is why oftentimes these people get like the keto flu. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. Or they're very irritable like the first week or so when starting the diet. And it's for this reason. Their body's not being supplied with enough energy. Second reason why carbohydrates are important is for disease risk. Fiber is an important part of a healthy, balanced diet. I've talked about this numerous times, how many Americans don't consume enough fiber in their diet. And fiber, it can promote good bowel health, reduce the risk of constipation, and some forms of fiber have also been shown to reduce cholesterol levels. Research shows diets high in fiber are associated with a lower risk of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and bowel cancer. And like I said, most of us don't get enough of these nutrients. We're more worried about our protein intake in check, but really is our fiber intake in check. Third reason why carbohydrates are important is for calorie intake. Carbohydrate contains fewer calories gram for gram than fat, you guys, okay? Everyone thinks carbs are going to make you fat, but really, if you're really counting calories here, gram for gram, fat has more calories, and like healthy fat, like avocado, oil, things of that nature. 4 calories per gram for carbs and 9 calories per gram for fat. Just leaving you guys there to think about something. Also, starchy foods can be a good source of fiber, which means they can be useful, or they can be a useful part of maintaining a healthy weight. By replacing fatty, sugary foods and drinks with higher fiber, starchy foods, it's more likely you reduce the number of calories in your diet. Also, high fiber foods add bulk to your meal, helping you feel full or providing the feeling of satiety. So, with all of that being said, should you cut out carbs? Well, we can't survive without a sugar. It would be difficult to eliminate carbohydrates entirely from your diet. Like I said, carbohydrates are the body's main source of energy. In their absence, your body will use protein and fat for storage. It may also be hard to get enough fiber, which is important for long-term health for many reasons, as I just mentioned. Healthy sources of carbohydrates, such as higher fiber starchy foods, vegetables, fruit and legumes, they're also an important source of nutrients such as calcium, iron, and B vitamins. So significantly reducing carbohydrates from your diet in the long term could mean you do not get enough nutrients, potentially leading to health problems, which in my honest opinion, I know I'm like attacking the keto diet a lot here, but personally, just from things I've witnessed, clients I've talked to who have embarked on a ketogenic diet, I don't think it works for the long run. I know. I said it. It's out there in the world. You guys may not like me after saying that, but that's just my honest opinion. It obviously can make you lose weight. I've seen it with my own cousins who have done keto. They do drop a tremendous amount of weight, but in the long run, they ended up getting off it because they said it's not sustainable for them. So replacing carbohydrates with fats and higher fat sources of protein could increase your intake of saturated fat, which can raise the amount of cholesterol in your blood, which is a risk factor for heart disease. And we all know heart disease is one of the main deadliest deaths of here in America. When you're low on glucose, the body breaks down stored fat to convert it into energy. And this process causes a buildup of ketones in the blood, resulting in ketosis. This can cause headaches, weakness, feeling sick, dehydration, dizziness, and irritability, as I mentioned previously. And that's the issue with a lot of these diets, such as keto. You may have heard of someone having the keto flu, in which they feel queasy, energy levels are depleted, and overall they just feel like crap. Well, this is because you essentially just eliminated a fat chunk of your energy sources, which are carbs. So my suggestion would be try to limit the amount of sugary foods you eat and instead include healthier sources of carbohydrates in your diet, such as whole grains, potatoes, vegetables, fruit, and legumes. So good versus bad carbs. Is there such a thing as good carbs and bad carbs? Not a thing, people. I'm not going to talk about this for very long because there are hundreds of articles on the internet giving you lists of carbohydrates that you should and shouldn't eat, pitting them off against each other like some gladiator fight to the death. I'm not going to do that. Of course, certain foods have more nutrients than others. And yes, the fibrous carbs are going to have the best overall impact on our health. But can you guys do me a favor though? Seeing as food doesn't have a moral value, can we stop using the words good and bad when it comes to what we eat? It's not helpful, and I'd argue it's actually harmful to our relationship with food. It's possible to recognize the hierarchy of benefit that certain foods have without demonizing others to the extent of exclusion and restriction. So now let's get on to the main reason why I felt the need, to mention, good versus bad carbs. Is it a thing? Why do people believe that carbs make us fat? And it's called the carbohydrate insulin hypothesis. Hypotheses in science are made to be tested, and I'm going to go a little deep here, you guys, so bear with me. Okay, I'm going to get a little nerdy on y'all. Again, bear with me. But what I'm about to explain right now is what's going to really give you insight on why people believe carbs make you fat. Hypotheses in science are made to be tested. The problem with this particular one is that it's been falsified on multiple occasions or proven incorrect. Yet those who hold carbohydrates responsible for obesity have all built massive careers off of it and would have much to lose by recognizing the fact. Money has a habit of running objective science, unfortunately, and this is just one of the many cases. When we eat carbohydrates, those polysaccharides and disaccharides have to be broken down by enzymes in our gut before our small intestine can absorb the resulting monosaccharides. After absorption, the subsequent rise in our blood sugar stimulates the release of insulin, which enables the cells to take up glucose and use it as an energy source. I hope you guys are still following. So insulin also has a job of signaling the liver to store excess glucose as glycogen. And the liver can only store a certain amount of glycogen at one time. So anything extra then gets converted to fat for longer term storage, also under the control of insulin. People usually freak out about that last bit, but relax, people. Fat storage is both normal and essential for proper functioning of the human body. Fat storage, fat breakdown, the whole thing is in a constant state of flux. Glucose is the most important fuel source for the body, okay? So due to the fact that we don't eat every minute of the day, there are times when our blood sugar levels need increasing. That's when the previously stored glycogen gets broken down back into glucose. And fat can also be broken down to help, with fatty acids then being converted into glucose through a process called glucogenesis. Glucogenesis. I don't know why I can't talk right now. Glucogenesis. I'll explain more about this right after this commercial break.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Guys, and welcome back to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. So in the previous segment, we're still talking about carbs. I know I still haven't explicitly answered the question of, do carbs make you fat? I know I haven't. I promise you I'll answer in this segment. I'm just providing you with guys with as much insight regarding carbs because typically we just tend to associate carbs as being bad or they make you fat, you know, with good and bad carbs. Why are people cutting it out? So I hope, I'm answering a little bit as we're going along through today's podcast. And I hope you guys are following along with my very nerdy talk about, how fat gets stored in the body and then turn into glycogen, and glycogen is stored in the liver and muscles. I know I'm getting very nerdy here, but again, this is all very important information, and it's going to just help you further understand the mission, I guess you can say, of carbs, like why they're so essential and why they're called a macronutrient. Macro, okay? So we were on the topic of glucogenesis. As glucose in our brains, preferential source of energy, there are many mechanisms in place to keep our blood glucose levels stable. It's a no-brainer, pun intended. So when these mechanisms aren't functioning properly, in conditions such as diabetes, our health tends to suffer. Since insulin upregulates fat storage and downregulates fat metabolism, it seemed reasonable to test the hypothesis that if we kept insulin stimulation at a minimum by restricting carbs, it might be easier to mobilize and use fat for energy. Yet, before it could be tested fully, people started preemptively claiming that low-carb diets, originally Atkins, but more recently the ketogenic diet, were best for weight loss, and insulin stimulation was the reason for weight gain and obesity. There are lots of nuances to this hypothesis, with many different elements having subsequently been proven incorrect. But there isn't time to go into all of them in today's podcast. So let's focus on the main one. In science, a hypothesis becomes proven incorrect when an integral part of it is shown to be wrong. The theory that insulin stimulation directly causes weight gain can be tested by comparing rates of weight loss between people on a high-carb diet versus a low-carb diet, when calories and protein are kept the same. So macronutrient portions are kept the same. If the theory is correct, those on the low-carb diet should lose more weight due to a slower stimulation of insulin, right? The best way to test this out is through utilizing metabolic ward studies. These create a highly controlled environment with participants living and sleeping at the table or at the lab, not the table, the lab, for the duration of the study. All movement and food intake is measured and recorded. And I can't imagine it's particularly pleasant for those involved to be doing this. Fortunately for us, this hypothesis has been appropriately tested time and time again over the last 3 decades. This, analysis that I'm doing, or I'm talking about, dates back to the 2017 systematic review and meta-analysis by Hall and Guo, who looked at 32 different metabolic award studies. The results were outstandingly clear. When calories and protein are controlled, there's no energy expenditure or weight loss benefit from eating a low-carb diet over a high-carb diet. Again, I'm going to repeat that. When calories and protein are controlled, there's no energy expenditure or weight loss benefit from eating a low-carb diet over a high-carb diet. And I am a product of this, you guys. When I dropped all that weight, I was still eating lots of carbs, lots of protein. I was getting the appropriate amount of my macronutrients proportions. What changed for me was eating in a caloric deficit. I was eating less, burning more. And in the end, weight manipulation comes down to calorie control, not insulin control. So again, let's revisit the golden question. Do carbs make you fat? Here's my answer. Any food can cause weight gain if you eat too much of it. Whether your diet is high in fat or high in carbs or it's low carb, if you frequently consume more energy than your body uses, you're likely to gain weight. You can be the healthiest horse on the planet, meaning not a literal horse, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you could be the healthiest person, okay? You could be the healthiest person on this planet. Like, you eat salads all day, whatever. If you are eating more energy through those salads than your body uses, you're still going to gain weight through those salads. Does that make sense? The true and most sustainable way, people, to lose weight and keep the weight off is through a caloric deficit. Expend more calories than you are consuming. That's all it boils down to. Weight loss is really that simple, people. And these companies and these experts and these labs and scientists are just trying to confuse us and give a lot of misinformation out there just so, they can dig into our pockets. So really do your research. I mean, you don't have to believe if you don't want to, but I've been doing this for the last couple of years. I am a product of this. I personally have put this to the test and it works, people. If you eat a calorie deficit diet, if you drink water, if you get enough sleep, if you work out consistently, weight train, you will lose the weight. You will drop body fat percentage. I promise you. So I know I went on like a tangent to answer that, like, do carbs make you fat? I know there was like 5 questions under that big question of do carbs make you fat? But I just wanted to really drill in about carbs, because there is such a stigma with carbs that carbs make you fat and all this other crazy stuff out there. So we are done talking about carbs. Moving on to our next frequently asked question that I receive. What's better, cardio or weight training for fat loss? Again, this is another common misconception, and I totally understand why. This used to be my way of thinking as well. My thought process used to be that lifting weights equals looking bulky or manly, but I couldn't have been proven more wrong, and I'm so glad that I was. People are shocked to hear when I tell them that I was able to lose 30 pounds in 6 months by lifting weights and not by cardio. I literally didn't do any cardio besides taking a few dance classes here and there. But besides that, none. It's a timeless question, what's better, cardio or weights? And I mean, I get it. We get it. You want to feel as if, you're working out in the best way to hit your goals, whether they be increasing strength or changing your body composition. So do you need to drip in sweat to see success, or will heavy lifting help you reach your goals? Rather than prescribe a one-size-fits-all approach, I'm going to lay out the facts to help you understand which route is best for you. As a baseline, in the NHS recommends adults to do at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity a week, or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity activity a week, as well as strengthening activities that work all the major muscles, which include your legs, your hips, back, abs, chest, shoulders, and arms. Those are all the major muscle groups, and it's recommended that you strength train or engage in strength training activities in these major muscles on at least 2 days a week. At least 2 days a week. But what those minutes are made up of is really up to you. In one corner, we have cardio. That's your running, your walking, swimming if you're lucky enough to be self-isolating with a pool right now, right? Cycling, or basically anything that gets your heart rate up. That's going to be cardio. On the other hand, we have weight training. This can span from strength training to circuits and anything that includes high intensity movements performed in a shorter period of time. But first things first, let's look at the benefits of each training style. So, benefits of cardiovascular exercise. We'll get into those first. So, the first one being that it improves heart health. Cardio really does what it says on the tin, namely improve your cardiovascular heart health and how efficiently it's able to work under pressure. If you've taken up running in lockdown, you'll be familiar with how cardio can improve your heart's ability to keep you trucking on, right? The first run, probably felt as if you're about to pass out. Your heart beating wildly in your chest. But by the third or fourth time you ventured out for a jog, you can breathe, breathe heavily. But the holy hell, make this stop element has largely been removed. That's your heart pumping oxygen, more efficiently around your body while you exercise. And that's pretty cool, right? So I'll get into more of the cardiovascular exercise benefits after this commercial break.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Hey guys, and welcome back to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. So we started to dive into a little bit of, the question, what should you do for weight loss, cardio or weight training? And we're still carrying on that conversation, and first going to be covering some of the benefits of engaging in cardiovascular exercise. We already mentioned that it's does what it says, right? It's in the name, that it improves heart health. Amazing for heart health. Second is that it regulates appetite. If you're prone to lockdown snacking, who isn't right now? A cardiovascular workup might be the thing to curb general snarfing of everything in the pantry. A study found that people who did high-intensity cardio or moderate-pace running or cycling or a HIIT workout ate 11% in the 24 hours following. Although we'd like to meet these people, like pass me the carbs is normally how it goes, So exercising at such an intensity causes your body to circulate more blood to prevent overheating. This is what metabolism expert Dr. Andy Blannon had to say. As such, blood is diverted away from your stomach and around your body, which, according to Dr. Blannon, can push the kibosh on your appetite. Third benefit of cardio is that it aids in fat loss. Minute for minute, cardiovascular exercise burns more calories than weight training due to the continuous nature of intensity, and as such, helps you to burn fat as part of a wider healthy diet. However, the type you go for really does depend on your goal. Low intensity steady state cardio, also known as LISS, is best for those with large weight loss goals, while HIIT, high intensity interval training, is best for retaining existing muscle, stimulating fat burning enzymes, while also raising your heart rate. U.S. research actually found that those who chose aerobic exercise over solely strength training lost up to 4 times more fat. However, and this is important to note, fat loss may not actually be the only goal you're after. Maintaining muscle is equally as crucial if you're after a toned, sculpted aesthetic. That's where weight training can come in, and more on this later. Budget friendly, hello, especially during these hard times. We're always looking for the budget friendly route, and that's definitely, cardio. That's a huge upside of cardiovascular training, that you really don't need much equipment or like a kit to do it. Running, walking, and high intensity bodyweight workouts are all completely free ways to work out. And so long as you're being responsible and doing them at a decent social distance from others, have at it. Go outside, go hiking, run, all of that stuff. Next, cardiovascular boosts brain power. As we age, our brains gradually lose tissue. And this starts from around the age of 30 and has a marked effect on our cognitive performance. Cardiovascular exercise has been linked to significantly reducing the amount of brain tissue lost over time, with one study showing that those who regularly exercise in this way had the most robust brain tissue. Basically, get sweaty and you stay sharp, right? Next amazing benefit of cardiovascular exercise is that it helps maintain healthy blood pressure levels. If high blood pressure is something you contend with, cardiovascular exercise can help to lower it to healthy levels, with one study showing robust data proving the effectiveness of endurance exercise, which again include steady state cardio, walking, jogging, cycling, swimming, as decreasing blood pressure levels in sedentary adults. And the final benefit that I'll be mentioning here regarding the cardiovascular benefits is that it protects your immune system. And a strong immune system has always been important, but now in the era of COVID-19, it's more talked about than ever. Fortunately, getting some daily cardio movement in each day will help keep your immune system ticking over at peak efficiency. Research has shown that regular and moderate exercise has favorable effects on the immune system by increasing something that's called immunoglobulins, which are immune system protecting molecules produced from your white blood cells. I know that was a little nerdy right there, but it is what it is. And that's basically, some of the main benefits of cardiovascular exercise. Again, I'll briefly go over them again before we move on to the benefits of weight training. So First one being that it improves heart health, it regulates appetite, it aids in fat loss minute per minute, it's budget friendly. You really don't need any equipment to engage in cardio. It boosts brain power, helps you stay sharp, it helps maintain healthy blood pressure levels, and it protects your immune system. So it's very appealing, right? Like, why not partake in cardio? To be honest, I am not a cardio person. I'm definitely more of a weight training type of gal. I used to be a cardio junkie, as I mentioned in the last episode that I talked about regarding my weight loss journey. So crazy how things have changed for me. And I'll now be sharing with you guys the benefits of weight training. There's so many. And first one being is that it builds muscle. It shouldn't be a surprise that lifting weights can build and sculpt muscle. Training with weights places more resistance on your muscles, meaning the tissue is broken down more quickly. This triggers the body's response to clean up and heal the tissue, growing muscle in the process while building strength and endurance. The fancy word for this process is hypertrophy, growing your muscles. While you can build muscle with just your body weight, calisthenics training is a testament to that. The more stress or load your muscles are placed under will force them to work harder and eventually grow more quickly. To push your muscles to the point of change or growth, regularly training them to fatigue is important. Like, say, for example, if you can do like 100 reps with 3 kilograms, then that's pushing your body to failure. And a dumbbell, it might even be time to level it up. With any weight training program, though, simple is best. Like, especially if you're a beginner, you're better off having a more basic plan than that you stick to for a year than the most robust, crazy, complicated muscle building advanced plan that you can only stick to in a month. Okay, so stick to the basics, master the basics before you move on to progressively overloading. The other upshot of building muscle is that it boosts your BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate, which increases the amount of calories your body burns per day as muscle requires more sustained energy, which leads us nicely into weight training benefit number 3, that it boosts metabolism and fat loss. Yes, weight training can also aid in fat loss, people. You heard me right. Weight training equals increased lean muscle mass, which equals a higher metabolic rate, which equals more calories burned. While you're more likely burn more calories during cardiovascular exercise, weight training will keep that slow burn going all day long, leading to a larger and more sustained calorie burn. Okay, do you guys get that? So you burn more calories during cardio, but weight training keeps that slow burn all day long over a period of time. Muscle is more metabolically active than fat. So the more you gain, the more calories you'll burn, and the more likely you are to keep fat off. Weight training can be especially important in helping women lose body fat, with the University of Alabama study showing greater belly fat loss in women who weightlifted as compared to those who just performed, simple cardiovascular exercise. And that's like the biggest issue that I see with a lot of individuals, women and men, that, they start doing all this crazy amount of cardio because they really want to drop body fat, but then they end up losing a lot of their muscle mass. So that's the issue there, is that you are able to lose fat weightlifting and still keep your muscle mass, unlike cardio. And I'm going to cut into a very brief break right now. When we come back, more on the benefits of weight training.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Hey guys, and welcome back to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. So we started to dive into the subject of benefits of weight training, still trying to answer the question for you guys, which is better for weight loss, cardio or weight training? So continuing on with some of the amazing benefits of lifting weights is that it protects your bones. Weight-bearing exercises, and this can mean body weight or with added resistance, help to promote good bone health. Unfortunately, for those who sit, at a desk most of the day, our bones are not living that life and require a little extra force to stay strong and resilient. I mean, think about it. You sit all day, your hips are in a flex position the entire time, the majority of the time. So hip pain is very prominent to those who sit all day at a desk because you're literally sitting on your butt, and that's literally making your butt weaker. And if you don't have strong glutes, that's going to cause some hip discomfort. Walking, jogging, lunging, squatting, and, light circuits, they're all good examples of weight-bearing exercises that can promote, great bone health. The secret is to not go overboard, exercising excessively. That can also be bad for joints. 3 times a week for at least half an hour is good enough if you're like a beginner. Obviously, you need to work your way up. I know the beginning of my fitness journey, I wasn't going to the gym 5 times a week. I was going like one, and then slowly increased to 5. And right now with quarantine, I'm working out consistently like 4 times a week. Some weeks it's 4 times, some weeks it's 3. Or some weeks it's 5, and then some weeks are 3. But consistently over this period, I've been doing 4 times. I cannot talk. What is wrong? Okay. Moving on. Weight training relieves stress. Yes, it does. Okay. The best thing when you're upset, when you are angry, when you just want to get your stress out and you just go and lift some heavy iron, that's like the best feeling. Like if you've done it, you'll know. Lifting a weight that was previously out of your ability or comfort zone can make you feel strong AF, okay? And move the stresses of your daily life to the back burner. Luckily, the evidence on this isn't just anecdotal. The International Journal of Sports Medicine found markedly decreased cortisol levels in people who weight train for 2 weeks, okay? And we all know cortisol levels, that's like the stress. I don't know why I can't talk right now. Stress. Weight training also aids in sleep. Weight training relieves stress and helps you drift off, okay? Who doesn't want better sleep? We all need better sleep. Sleep is good, especially if you're trying to lose weight. That's like sleep is literally when your body is recovering from the daily stressors and toxins. So sleep is so important, you guys. Like, do not neglect your sleep. Get your rest. You will not excel in your health and fitness goals if you're not getting the proper amount of sleep each night. According to clinics in sports medicine, weight training tires your muscles while the drop in cortisol helps you maintain a more peaceful slumber all night long. So, yeah, we like the sound of that, right? So, to answer the question, which is better, what's the verdict? Which is better for fat loss? Cardio or weights? Weight training is best for fat loss and building lean muscle. However, cardio will help with weight loss, improving cardiovascular health, and uncovering the muscle you've sculpted. So if you're looking to tone up while sculpting muscle, doing a variety of each week, I'd say is the best way to achieve your body composition and aesthetic goals, okay? So I always recommend to my clients, do a mixture of both. If they're really like trying to lose weight, I still will incorporate a lot of weight training sessions in there and probably would have them do some HIIT cardio. I wouldn't have them just like be on the treadmill like all day long. Like that's not helpful at all. So my suggestion would be do a mixture of both, but definitely weight training aids in both fat loss and helping in maintaining lean muscle mass. For the third and final frequently asked question that I receive is, can I spot reduce fat? Meaning, can I lose fat in my stomach? Can I lose fat in my legs? Can I lose fat in my triceps? So, can you lose fat in a specific targeted area? And I had to learn this the hard way, people. Unfortunately, the answer is no. You cannot spot reduce, fat reduce, okay, like in specific areas. Like when you are going on your weight loss, fat loss journey, unfortunately, that's going to come down to genetics, where you lose fat, the quickest, or where are the first areas in your body you start to lose fat. Like for me, unfortunately, like when I started working out, my goal, I was like, I just want to keep my waist small, but everything else stay the same. Okay. That was my thought process before I like educated myself and became a trainer. So I was like, I want to lose weight in my stomach. And I did lose weight in my stomach, but I also lost a lot of weight on my chest, boob area. I lost a lot of weight on my legs, my arms, my butt, basically everywhere. Like I lost it evenly everywhere. So I know there are some people who, drop fat and they only lose it in their stomach, or they lose it in their hips and their boobs first. So it's like, it really depends on, that's going to come down to genetics, really where you lose weight first. But you're going to lose as long as, you are eating a caloric deficit, you are incorporating a mixture of weightlifting and cardio, you're drinking plenty of water and tracking your calories, you're going to lose the weight. But unfortunately, you can't like spot reduce. You can't be like, I want to keep my glutes big, my waist small. Like we can achieve that, but you need to focus on the fat loss first. Like if you're trying to slim down your waist, but keep your glutes large, you need to first focus on fat loss. And that may mean losing a little bit of muscle mass in your glutes. But that's okay, because once we get down to the body fat percentage that you want, then we can go back to building up the muscle, and it'll be a lot easier that way. You'll gain it in where you would like. So that is my biggest recommendation. If you're trying to lose weight, is to track your calories, drink plenty of water, incorporate a mixture of weightlifting and cardio. But I'd say aim more for weight. And last but not least, calorie deficit. Expend more calories than you are consuming. And you guys, that's going to wrap up today's episode here at the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. I hope I answered, the three major frequently asked questions that I received regarding weight loss, fat loss. So I'll go through those again. The first one being, do carbs make you fat? Short answer is no, carbs don't make you fat. Any food can make you fat if you eat too much of it, if you go over your maintenance calories. Next question is, which is better, cardio or weights for fat loss? Answer is kind of both. Cardio is great for weight loss, but weight training is great for fat loss and keeping your lean muscle mass. And the third one is, can you spot reduce, your fat? And the answer is no. That's going to come down to genetics. And I hope you guys found today's episode super valuable and insightful. I hope you enjoyed what I had to discuss on today's episode. If you liked what we talked about, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff, because that tremendously helps the show. And I'll catch you guys at the next one.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Health and Wellness Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.